Hello and welcome to the Comic Review channel. Today I'm going to be reviewing Mephisto versus the Fantastic Four, a great comic from 1987. And we're going to first talk about the artwork. I would give the artwork a slightly above standard on this one. I think they put some effort into it. It was a mini-series, but somewhat of a high-profile one. Remember, this is the time they were transitioning into that once-a-year big event, and this kind of fit along with what they were doing. So there's a little bit more effort, I think, put into this than your standard comic, so slightly above standard for the art. Now, the story itself is fairly basic. It's goes on with the Fantastic Four discovering an unknown shaft in the basement, which is kind of suspect. I mean, it's certainly an intro into it, and it does do some foreshadowing in the sense that they discover that there's heat coming out of the shaft, and we'll see as the story progresses what that actually means. Now, Franklin is dreaming during this time, and he's picking up these senses. He's obviously more attuned to what's going on than some of the rest of them. And even when Franklin confronts his parents, his father, they don't really take him that seriously. And then that leads into what I like to call the four trials. And these are all trials that Mephisto puts the group into to test their resolve in certain ways and determine their sins. And the trial of Ben Grimm is mostly a trial of jealousy, a common thread throughout the Fantastic Four, the jealousy of Ben Grimm, which he fails, gets sucked away. Mephisto takes him. The Human Torch is up next, and his big trial is the killing of innocent bystanders by using his powers. And so he determines that as a sin, even though we'll find out that this is not really happening, and sucks him away to the realm. The next two get kind of iffy, in my opinion, and I wonder why even the trials are there, because they don't make a whole lot of sense. Now, Reed Richards, his trial is for, of all things, tampering with the U.S. mail. And, okay, things are starting to get a little silly at this point, where tampering with the U.S. mail is a sin worthy of going to hell. And then the last one, Sue Storm is careless in the kitchen. So, utterly ridiculous. And I don't know whether or not I agree with all of these things being decent. It really just shows that Mephisto, I guess, is just playing with them. Regardless, take it for what it is. It all gets them to the place where they need to be, and they have been taken to Mephisto's lair. He is kind of talking to them about what he wants. He's seeking Franklin, and then he goes through this long spiel about claiming Reed has already sold his soul to him. And so already having possession, he makes Reed dumb. And then talking about what he is going to do, he eventually convinces Sue to go with him, to basically give herself over to save Franklin. And so that's when he takes her, and it was all an elaborate game, all a ruse. This is Mephisto at his best. And so I think it's a pretty decent entry. Some things got to give a little disbelief for and be willing to accept what they're going for here, I think, in the storyline. But I'm going to give the story rating an above average here. I think for the most part you'll enjoy it. It sets off the stage for these others in the 4-part miniseries, and we'll see where that goes. As far as collectibility, which I like to wrap all the comics up with right now, I think this is a very good choice for putting in your collection, maybe even getting a couple of them right now. The price is really cheap on them. We're sitting here at September 2021, and both Mephisto and the Fantastic Four are possibly going to be in the MCU in the future. And that possibility leads to possibly this comic going up in price. I mean, right now you can get it for a couple of bucks, $10, $12 for the whole set of 4. And I think if we hit the right storyline in the MCU in the future, we're talking 4 or 5 years from now, you could possibly see this up into $30, $40, $50 range. So I think it's very collectible. I think this is one you might want to start looking at getting in your collection. If you see it in the dollar bins, great, pick it up. And that's going to wrap up our review of Mephisto versus the Fantastic Four.